I've been making some shorts about the different forms of conflict you find in literature and how not all of them need a villain. Hell, some of them don't even have an antagonist. And the one we're talking about today certainly doesn't. It's man versus God slash man versus fate. And I'm giving this one its own short because it's a bit more complex. Because we're not talking about man fighting literal gods. Though because I read a lot of fantasy, yeah, I read books where that happens too. But that's actually a different form of conflict. What man versus God really means is man versus the inevitable. It is something that you cannot stop, that it feels like an outside force is pulling you towards, but you can't actually fight it. But you're going to try. A good example that I've read recently is Moving Pictures by Terry Pratchett. Hollywood in this book, or Holywood technically, is this sort of outside force, this idea that overtakes people and forces them to fit in this inevitable moment. And yeah, a lot of the characters are fighting that, and that is a conflict of man versus fate. But there is another conflict in this book, like they do fight a supernatural thing at the end, but really the objective main conflict is the man versus God here. Another good example is The Bedlam Stacks by Natasha Pulley. And yeah, another one. There is an antagonist in this book, but he is really secondary to the man versus God conflict here, because a lot of the conflict is about what is happening to Raphael and how inevitable it is, and how it's, not something people want. And that is the thing about man versus God slash man versus fate. It is the conflict that tends to lead to the most tragedy, because it is sort of inevitable. Part of the nature of this conflict is that characters are trying to fight something that cannot be fought. And that tends to lead to sadness.